I really like this comment. And I tend to get this comment about every 6 months, but I love to address certain things every couple of months because we can expand on what we've built before. And we've got so many new viewers every 6 months anyway, as quickly as this channel is growing. So I'm happy to answer certain questions again, and even for me, from a different perspective, as I've grown in wisdom in the past 6 months, as hopefully we all do. Continue growing in wisdom. So here it is. I made a video called Lucky Norwood Stages for Each Age, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20. And I would pronounce the screen name, but it's like literally it's just a bunch of letters. Quote, "Hi Nick, I want to know your beliefs and ideology on religion. What you believe about the concept." To which I replied, "What makes you curious about this?" To which he replied, "You are a father and a person with experience. Myself, almost into my 20s, am very confused about life and don't understand how to be with anything. I turn to my emotional and spiritual health, and I ponder and experience feeling the emotions of one who prays or practices religion to find out more about myself as a healthy being. I just ask you randomly because you look like you have some experience understanding life." End quote. Major compliment received. Thank you. I would say your name back to you, but like that's the best I can do with that screen name. So going back to the question, what are my beliefs and ideology on religion? What do I believe about the concept? Saying that you can tell I'm a father and a person with experience. So, and I'm thinking of someone who is not a religious person here in their 20s and looking for wisdom, truth, and meaning, right? That's what you look for when you're a man in your early 20s, especially wisdom, truth, and meaning. Whereas I'm always looking for those things, that's not my main quest in life anymore, because where I'm at in life, I've already discovered those things, and now it's continuing the journey now that I have found those. But to answer the question, my thoughts on religion, or my personal beliefs on religion, I am a Christian. That is my belief. And I don't mean like a casual Christian, like, okay, I'm going to go to church this Sunday because it's Easter or because it's Christmas. No, I mean like, do you want to know how Christian I actually am? Okay. So for example, every morning before I leave for work with my wife and my kids, we pray together. We like hold hands and we pray. We do the same thing at dinner. And yes, we do go to church, and we're involved in our church, and we read Bible stories, and our whole life is based around this. We tithe to the church, and for example, we give 10% more or less to our church, which from there we have a ministry at our church called No More Fatherless, which here in America, it's pretty difficult actually to adopt a child if that's something you're trying to do. It costs at least $10,000. So one of the ministries our church does is as we give money to the church, they have a fund for that to help families in our church be able to afford to adopt children. Often they're from China or somewhere in Africa, and often they have physical. How do you say it? Like for example, they're not 100% physically okay, like maybe they're missing a leg, or maybe they're deaf or something like that, and people from our church adopt them, and we give money for that. Something else we just did, speaking of adoption, at my parents' church, they have this thing for foster parents, where there's like an 8-hour waiting period when the foster kids arrive at the office waiting for the parents to adopt them, and they're just there alone and sad, I'm sure. So they provide these duffel bags with blankets, games, snacks for the kids. So you can basically provide or purchase those bags. So my wife today went through and put 2 of those together for those. So that's my background. That's where I'm coming from. It's not a generic Christian faith because, oh, this guy's an American. Yeah, of course he believes in God and he's a Christian. And no, I mean this is a defining thing about me and my family and what I truly believe in. So it absolutely defines my life, and it absolutely defines my vision in this channel. And I know it seems so unrelated to hair loss. And I know that I rarely talk about this because for me, that's why I say thank you for the compliment. It's such a compliment because I'm not upfront about my faith and I don't talk about it all the time. But for someone to say, you know what, there's something different about you, and I want to know more about it. That's one of the greatest compliments anyone can give me. And I will say it, and it's not just because of my Christian faith. It's also, yes, like the comment mentioned, it's because of my age. I am pushing 40. I am now a couple months away from my 20th high school reunion. I am pushing 40. I have been married for over a decade, and I have 2 kids. And even when you reached age 35, that's the point, at least in my life, where I finally got it. I finally realized, wow, I've wasted so much of my life. Not so much even worrying what people thought about me, but letting other people affect my emotions. That I would need confirmation from people and who I was. If I thought I was good at something, I'd need someone to tell me that I was good at it. Not anymore. I already know what I'm good and bad at. I don't need someone to tell me to make me feel good about myself. Nor can someone tell me that I'm bad at something and I get worried about it, because I probably already know I'm bad at whatever they're talking about. I've already embraced that as my identity. I know what I'm good and I'm bad at, and I don't let other people affect me emotionally. Now, what I was just talking about was probably, if for any of those of you who happen to be from a Buddhist background, that's probably more of a Buddhist perspective of Christianity, as far as not letting other people control your emotions, not getting caught up in that, and ultimately knowing. And people love to argue and debate these days. I don't. I like to have discussions and conversations, but a lot of people, they just want to prove each other wrong. Nah, I mean, there's a good chance I can be wrong about anything, and I know that at any time, and I'm always willing to learn, which goes on to my continued search for wisdom, truth, and meaning. Even though I've already found the main things I'm looking for in life, I'm always looking to learn something new. Because if you go around thinking that you are already right, then you end up like the guy who says, well, don't you think if I were wrong, I'd know it? Yeah, I don't want to be that guy. But absolutely, my Christian faith totally, absolutely is the voice of this channel. Yes, it's in disguise. Yes, it's in character. But that's the wisdom that you hear, where I keep saying in these videos that you are not defined by your hair. You're defined by your identity aside from this. And I'm teaching you confidence. This is actually stuff that's based in the Bible. Whether it's the Old Testament and the Proverbs and things like that, or whether it's letters that were in the Christian church. This is so woven into my identity that there's no way I can make a video giving advice to anybody about hair loss without it somehow linking back to something that's biblical. This is my life. So yes, I make silly videos from time to time. And anyone at any point could say, Nick, this is silly that you're even making channels about hair loss anyway. Maybe so for certain people, they see it as silly. But for me, what's one of the things I've always said? For me, this is a chance to be a mentor to younger guys. When people ask me about my YouTube channel, they say, well, what is it about? What's funny is I don't actually usually tell them, well, it's about hair loss. I usually don't say that. I say it's where I help mentor younger men become more confident in who they are. That's my answer I give them, because for me, on my end of the camera, that is what this channel is about. It's not about hair loss. That's just what gets people in the door. But once you're here, hopefully what you realize is, I want to help you be confident in knowing who you are and help you build that identity as a confident man. And yes, I'm gonna joke around and I'm gonna be silly from time to time, because I think that's important. I think that's a big part of being happy and intelligent and fun and confident and knowing who you are. You got to be able to joke around and have fun and be silly sometimes. But ultimately, my Christian faith is who I am. Without that, this channel wouldn't exist. The things that I've said that have helped people couldn't exist. And that's knowing that probably most of you are not Christian. I'm very aware of that. I'm very aware that there's plenty of atheists and agnostics that watch my video, and I'm so glad you're here. Whatever faith you're from, or whether you're not of a faith, I'm just glad that you're here. I'm glad I get to be on this stage, mentoring and helping people mentally sort out this hair loss thing, no matter where your background is from. But I am telling it you all now that now you know this. I want you to think about this from now on when I'm making, and I'm in other videos. You can think, oh yeah, that's actually a Christian guy telling me all this stuff. That's ultimately, he's a guy who can't separate his Christian faith from even talking about something like hair loss. So thank you for asking. I'm happy to talk about it a lot more as it's relevant to my audience. Thanks for asking. Comments belong right here.